so the media's mainly been focusing on the outcome of the World Championship.
Yes, I think it's also the manner in which it happened. I think that's the issue. What happened on the track happened on the track, but it was the how the rules were interpreted or weren't interpreted. It was a bit of a
Well, how
upside down.
what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it was the ending we should have seen, or you think it was the wrong decision?
I think the rule, what the rules weren't applied consistently, and that's really where it is. So maybe I suppose you could look at it in a bit deeper. That it's now controlled by Liberty. They want to make more of a show of it. Whatever they got their hands, going back to was it the Belgian Grand Prix when they only did a few laps, which
Mm.
it kept it. I mean, one of the teams always want to try and win the last race because that carries that momentum right the way throughout the rest of the dull period until they start racing again. Whether it was I think there's a difference as to whether it's the driver you felt should win or who won. That's another matter altogether. It was pretty consistent.
So, do you
I
think the
know
right driver won?
the right driver. Well, you got to look at it over the whole season, haven't you? It's not the preference I would have had, to be honest. But I know that you've diverted your Schumacher fan worship to Verstappen now. I can see, but it is the consistency of the rules. I think. I mean, I think the thing has changed. I mean, the poor guy, Michael, whatever his name was,
Massey.
who's yeah, he's the fool made them supposed to have to. But what also you got to remember is that there's a brand new president a brand new president who's the FIA, and of course, as in any organisation, when a new guy comes in, he wants to make his mark, and that was the way of his making his mark.
Yeah, but he
But
wasn't president at the last race, though.
nobody was president with all of the inquiry and that sort of thing.
Yeah, true, true.
And he had to be seen. There's so much. I mean, I think what is wrong is to have the team managers, bending the ear of the race steward. I mean, I can remember back in the old Caterham days when we were in Malaysia. I was the race steward for a couple of events for my sins. And then you realise why it's so complicated and why it's so very strict. Because I think if you look at it from the television point of view, without that, you don't realise what the guy's doing. Also, you go with Herbie and
Charlie.
Charlie. Thank you for that. Um, they made it look easy because they've been around for so long. They could anticipate something could happen, what the result would be even before it actually happened. They from experience. There's so much going on that it's become. I mean, like life has become very complicated.
Yeah, and I think a lot of fans don't realize or seem to forget that it's not just one man in that race control. There's a team of
Uh,
stewards there that are collaborating with each other. There's the driver steward, the guest driver steward as well. So there's half a dozen or more guys there discussing it and talking about it. And it's just Michael Massey who's the kind of representative who has to enforce the final decision.
and you've got to remember it's got to be done in very strict timing. And I know that both the Red Bull and Mercedes were bending his ear, but he was
Mm.
also to add a number of other things that were going on. And it's a high pressure environment, and sometimes people get it wrong.
True, true. Um, I think maybe your camera's a little bit slow tonight, a little bit choppy, but that's all right. We can work with that. Yeah, I mean, I am talking to an FIA race director, who's a representative in Asia, to come on the show and have a chat about that. So hopefully he can come on soon. Um, But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Well, I'm coming from a McLaren perspective, considering you worked for them for 17 or 18 years, and I'm kind of thinking from a Ron Dennis aspect, so to speak. I mean, for one thing, do you think that the Abu Dhabi incident would have happened in the 80s and 90s?
No,
And well, definitely not under Charlie, right?
no, that's right.
But
But then
then, sorry.
thing, thing, things have changed so much. You know, the safety car comes out so quickly. You know, whenever there's an incident on the track, and okay, you've got to do it, but the race slows it down. And I suppose the real issue was when the Williams went on and caused the accident had the accident on the track. If you did the all of the cars to go back, you would have run out of the race, so that it would have entered a damp squig, and maybe that's why they wanted to keep the momentum actually still going.
Yeah, and when you just mentioned now how Toto and Christian were on the blower to Massey quite regularly during the race, is that something you think Ron Dennis would have taken advantage of himself?
Well, it didn't happen in those days, and it is a fairly recent phenomenon. But I mean, it just puts added pressure. The stewards are there to control the race, and they have to be consistent. But also, they don't have to be pestered by the team managers as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ron had his fair share of having to confront the stewards and race control plenty of times after the race.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he would have loved the opportunity to be able to confront them on the pit wall during the race.
Well, yeah, but in latter years, Ron wasn't fully operational. He was one step beyond. So they brought on, there's another team principal or a team manager, and it's a different thing altogether. But I
And
mean,
speaking sorry.
no, carry on.
No, no, keep going. I was gonna change the subject slightly.
Um, no, I was going to say much more. Really, I mean, it is what it is. You've got to look over the whole season. I think there's got to be consistent, and I think that one of the things that is track rules. There's too many rules, but there's too many rules in life. I think. You know, if the track limits was obeyed, or if there wasn't, at the moment they've got curbs that they can go out as far as, and they've got to keep the wheel on one wheel still on the track. If that was a solid brick wall like in Monaco, they'd be more cautious. So I think the drivers, in some ways, it's too safe because the drivers can get away with it, and Max did tend to push that to the limit, and you want racing, but you also want it to be fair.